What is going on, Empire? It is your girl Panda, and we are here for another episode of Striking Fury, your official podcast for the Empire Strikers. What is going on? I'm here with Philly, and I'm kind of curious if we're gonna have anybody on live because we are actually doing this right in the I don't know the heat and the meat of this game that Kansas City and Monterey are in. There are literally minutes left, and it was a barn burner at that moment. It was like 6-5 when I checked last.
Yeah, in fact, I should probably put it on my screen as well. And that's going to be a very competitive game. Neither team in our conference, but we're going to be facing both of those teams anyway. So it would be an apropos thing to do to go scout on these two sides. But we've got our own hands tied with a bunch of things to do. This podcast being one of them, 3-game recaps to give you, and obviously the preview of the San Diego game, which will happen tomorrow. It is January the 16th at the time of this recording. So we've got a lot of stuff going on, but we have another party that we need to introduce and bring into this pod. So bring them on in.
What is going on? Dr. Jonathan Reimer in the house with us tonight. How are you doing on this fine Tuesday evening before a big game that we're about to talk about?
Well, update. It's now 6-6. So this game has
See,
gotten
that's what
even
I'm
more
saying.
interesting. Monterey answered back almost right away after Casey went up. I'm doing fantastic. Was at work all day, ready to do some podding and get a good night's sleep and go out and get behind the microphone with Misters Panda, Philly, Pablo,
right.
a couple other people. Who knows?
Right. And first and foremost, apologies for this intimate lighting by candlelight. I feel like we should have a glass of wine and a plate of pasta
You
in
do that
front
on
of us.
Tuesday anyway.
Oh, wait. I got an idea. Oh, here we go.
Okay. Anyways, we came back from the United Soccer Coaches Convention recently, which we'll get into. We'll talk a little bit about that and the exhibition game that happened there as well. But some of our equipment is strewn about between different cars and at this point, different areas of Los Angeles. So we are making it work. We're going to.
There, I mood lit myself so you feel better, right?
You know what? It does make us look brighter with you being down on our level as far as lighting goes.
Well, it looks like we're about to tell like scary stories. And, the recaps might be those scary stories based on some of the results that we've seen. But before we get into the things we got to talk about, we got to pay the bills. So, Panda, why don't you pay the first bill?
Thank you for not allowing me my smooth segue into that I had prepared, but that's all right. As far as smooth is probably what I'll start with, and I like to refer to that in terms of transportation. If you're trying to get anywhere, especially in San Bernardino County, that's right. I'm talking about Omnitrans. It is the proud sponsor of Striking Fury and your ride to all the Strikers games and anywhere else that you need to go in San Bernardino County. Omnitrans also offers free rides for students at local schools, supporting the next generation of soccer athletes and getting them to school, practice, and games for free. So visit omnitrans.org for more information and to plan your next ride.
Woo! Cha-ching! Yay, sponsors! We love Omnitrans.
Anyways, yes, that we got that out of the way, and we love Omnitrans and love the fact that we have this option for transportation because I hate being stuck in a car. I mean, I'm very angry when I get home, and this one knows all about that. So thank you for providing us.
You're usually angry at me.
Well, yes. I mean, and tonight is no exception.
No, what did I do?
I am just
Welcome
kidding.
to my world.
For all of an hour.
All right.
You can't possibly be that mad at me.
It doesn't take much, but let's talk about what's going on with the Empire. Do you guys want to go ahead and get into some of news and notes concerning the Strikers before we get into these games?
Yeah, absolutely. Doctor, would you want to start or should I start? Either way, I'm good.
Well, I mean, look, the big news, the massive news in the Empire world is the addition of Mexican superstar Miguel Angel Ponce, right? One game under his belt, definitely needs a little bit more of an indoor mindset coming from the outdoor world. It's a little easier to transition into indoor as a striker. You get the ball, you shoot the ball. Defense is obviously very, very different playing. I believe he was left back all those years at Chivas de Guadalajara and El Tri, right? And now transitioning into playing in a defensive, formation for an indoor team where you have to know players' tendencies. There's so many different angles that you have to cover. I think it's going to take him some time to really become the superstar indoor that he is outdoor. But the name alone, Miguel Angel Ponce, is massive.
Yeah, I cannot imagine trying to adjust to that. I mean, the way that the ball moves in the indoor game, opposite of how it is in the outdoor game, how fast coming off the walls, it's got to be an incredibly difficult transition. And I can't wait till all the pieces kind of fall in place for him. And we'll talk about the fact that we've already had a bit of a link up already there with the Chivas teammates, and we'll get into that. But he's not the only addition that we've had to this team since the last time we talked.
No, not at all. He might be the most high profile recently. Obviously, Marco Fabian being the biggest, but we also signed Mo Elwine, a 26-year-old player who collegiately represented Cal State Dominguez Hills for a number of years before transferring to Cal State LA, and he was a big part of their championship run to the NCAA's. Had a stint for a couple years playing in NISA. That would be the outdoor level that is below the USL. And the kid's a 26-year-old defender. He featured recently in a couple of the games in the exhibition game that we had against the Soccers at the United Soccer Coaches Convention. And, as per what our head coach, Paul Wright, has said, he's really good with his feet. He's decisive. He doesn't get nervous anytime like the ball comes through him. And he's going to be a really key cog to helping shore up this back line that we have. And from what I heard, he doesn't make too many mistakes either. And mistakes have, been a punishment for us in these past couple of games. So he's another new addition. So we have one outdoor player from a high level, Miguel Angel Ponce. We got Mo Elwine, who's young within his career. And then we have a veteran of this league, Doctor, a face that most people in MASL will recognize.
I think a lot of people were surprised when Anthony Arrico didn't get picked up by a team. Given the current state of the Florida Tropics, he was such a key and important member of that team and their success. Obviously, a lot of these players have a lot of ties that have kept them home. And so we all just sort of assumed that there was something going on in his personal life that kept him from being able to play for another team. Lo and behold, he was available. Thanks to the next name we're going to talk about, he finds his way to Empire and is a welcome addition on that back line to have the bearded and muscular frame of one Anthony Arrico on the field.
Yeah, 34 years old, a veteran of this league, spent the last 6 seasons with the Florida Tropics, having played with a name that we're about to mention. Had a stint, obviously, with the St. Louis Ambush and the Milwaukee Wave, but here's a guy who brings some leadership and some veteran presence and experience to this young team, and that's something that we need a little more of, is experience within this league. You can bring in as many young kids as you can, try to teach them the game of indoor soccer, but it certainly helps when you have more players that have been in this league and understand other players' tendencies, and for the most part have been successful. Anthony Arrico has been extremely successful in his time in this league, and he is a proven winner. We are very fortunate to be having him on our side. He'll be wearing the number 22. He wore it in the last game that we played against Tacoma. So, welcome Anthony Arrico.
Yeah, and he's not going to be the only Florida Tropic that we're going to welcome to our squad. Unfortunately, not for an entire season, unfortunately, but we did add that in the way of Clay Roberts to our coaching staff. And I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on his addition to what we had in place already?
Clay knows this league. He knows these players. He knows how to coach. He knows how to do it at a high level. He's taken some very good teams very far in this league before. So bringing him in to help a coach like Paul Wright familiarize himself with the modern game, not that we are all that far removed from Paul's playing career, but certainly there are new players that he's not familiar with, having not been in the league for the past couple of years. So bringing someone in to sort of catch him up on who the players are and what their tendencies, that's so important in the coaching world. So we're fortunate enough to have Clay on the bench for the last few games. We were fortunate enough to spend some time talking with him. I mean, just a kind, brilliant, really charismatic individual, commands a lot of respect in the locker room and from the players. And though he's not going to be back on the bench for us for the rest of the season, he's returned to his collegiate duties. He is still going to serve as a special advisor to the team. And I completely agree, Greg. Outstanding addition.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. I mean, we could even see him from way up in the booth, how he was coaching the players, pulling out the clipboard, yelling at them in some cases in the most recent encounter against the Tacoma Stars. And you said it, a plethora of experience, a plethora of knowledge, and he'll be watching tape and offering suggestions to the coaching staff. So just to have any part of Clay Roberts is going to be very helpful for this team. And I already know some of the players like acclimated very well to him and his coaching, and that led to some players really picking up their scoring prowess in the past couple of games. And that obviously Justin Stinson being one of those players. So, even though he won't be on the bench, we'll still have him from afar. We are really lucky for that matter.
Yeah, he is a fantastic addition to the coaching staff and just the knowledge that we need to have up top. But unfortunately, like we said, he's not going to be on the bench. And we do hope that he will offer a lot by way of, like you said, just watching the games and offering some advice. But I really will miss him in the trenches, which is really where I think a lot of these kids do need some guidance. So we'll see how this all works. But he's been nice to have along. I hope that these players have learned a lot from him in that short stint that they can take with them going forward. Now, talking about new additions, let's talk about something that a lot of people have seen on our broadcast. We have added 2 new members to our broadcasting crew. Jonathan, I'll let you tell everybody a little bit about these guys. I know you know them very well, and they've been such a fantastic addition to our game day operations.
Obviously, I think both of these gentlemen are very well known to the three of us and have been for many years. We know them, surprise, surprise, through the LAFC podcasting community. And that is the addition of the new Spanish language content to the Empire Strikers broadcast entitled Vamos Strikers. So we brought in 2 people very near and dear to the three of us, 2 incredibly talented individuals, very, very passionate about the beautiful game, both north of the border and south of the border. And that is our friend Pablo Morales, who joins us. You might know him from the Dale Black and Gold podcast. And then, of course, Julio El Chivameo Ramos. Anyone in the world of MLS is familiar with Julio. He is the star of Somos LAFC, the first LAFC podcast, some of the biggest Spanish content covering that team. I know him through his work as the director of active support for the 3252. He and I actually also worked together previously at one of my previous jobs as well, too. He worked for me for a while there as well, too. So I know Julio very, very well. Pablo as well. Fantastic guys. And they are going to be helping bring something that, as much passion and energy as the three of us have, we can't do it in Spanish. And with the addition of Marco Fabian, Miguel Angel Ponce, Gerardo Jurado, and so many other of these Spanish-speaking players on the team, we needed a conduit to get information to and from the fans through those players. And so happy that Pablo and Julio are joining us. Julio is south of the border in Guadalajara right now. He will be back shortly. Pablo's been holding it down excellently. He'll be back with us tomorrow.
Claro, yo necesito estudiar español. Entiendo un poco para no hablar mucho. So thank you, Pablo and Julio, for joining us on this ride. And they're really excited about this game as well. I know Pablo is brand new to checking things out indoor, but in the past couple of games, he's very much become entertained by it. And that's another perfect example of football purist coming in, checking out the indoor game and being enchanted by it, if you will. It doesn't take long to bring somebody into this game, but that's the thing we all need to work on together, is getting people through those doors. When they get through those doors, it's going to be really hard to get them out. So welcome to the fam, and much appreciated for your time and commitment.
Yeah, for sure. It's so nice to have somebody down there on the pitch with me to share the microphone with, and they've done just a phenomenal job. And yeah, it's such a great addition to what we have already put together and created. Absolutely. You were going to say, Reimer?
Pablo got his first shout out on Soccer's Overtime tonight. So hat tip to our friend Craig, who commented on the fact that we added some Spanish language broadcasts. Craig's a great dude, always has nice things to say about us, and added some compliments for Pablo as well, too. And so I got a message from Pablo. He said nice things about me on Soccer's Overtime. So, he's definitely tuned in now, paying attention to all the shows and everything that's going on out there. So bienvenidos, Pablo y Julio.
Oh. Love it. Love it. Well, somebody who doesn't need an introduction and somebody who is very well known to this league, somebody that we need to speak about on their accomplishment, and that is our captain himself, Israel Cisse with his 100th career point. I believe that was in the Texas Outlaws game when that happened. So want to give a big shout out to Israel Cisse. I mean, what an accomplishment to have 100 points, and no better than someone to honor than the captain himself. Such a nice guy, always so pleasant to talk to, and I just love interviewing him.
He's got a great story. I mean, here's a man who's always happy, always ready to chat, always has a smile ear to ear. And I mean, I love Izzy. You mentioned yourself how he is one of your favorite players on the Strikers. I mean, he's been around for an extremely long time. And we're talking, the inception of this club, period. And he's got himself 100 points as a defender, which, as you know, we're not counting shot blocks in those statistical categories for points. He's not collecting Frank Tayu-esque goals. I mean, I think the most he's ever scored in a single season, goals-wise, is 12. I think the most points he ever had was in the 20s, 21 his rookie season. So in the 175 games that our captain has played, he's scored 56 times and assisted on 44 occasions for 100 points. And if you count playoffs, Izzy's damn near close to, having played 200 career games overall in MASL. So congratulations to the captain. Much love.
I mean, when you see this, the first name that comes to mind is Cisse.
100%.
Congrats, Captain.
I think that deserves an applause. We have this for a reason. Thank you.
You guys got to do something really fun on Thursday while I was at work, and I was a little jelly. Can you let the fans in on the indoor soccer that wasn't indoor soccer y'all got to partake in?
I mean, it was indoors.
Yeah, so what it was the United Soccer Coaches Convention that was held in Anaheim. It started on Wednesday, it concluded on Sunday, and this is an annual event that brings coaches, personnel, media, soccer players, so on and so forth from all around the world. They congregate in one location and they share ideas. Vendors are there sharing some of the newest technology and tools to help players get better at the game. And so MASL had an exhibition there. It was a futsal-esque exhibition. There were no boards, and it pitted the Empire Strikers versus the San Diego Sockers. Originally, we were told that it was going to be broadcasted and we were going to go do things that way, but ultimately it did end up just being a regular exhibition game. There were a few fans that were in attendance, Cowboy, Suddy, Gabriel, to mention just a couple from San Diego. And of course, we had some fans from Empire as well, and they got to see some of the younger kids go out there and do their thing. Brian Orozco got the start, and he's a young man who's very well equipped in the futsal world, representing Guatemala on the national side. So it was a very competitive effort back and forth. The final score had the Strikers falling to the Sockers by a score of 5-4. But, the area around it was packed. I got to MC it along with Panda and our friend Nina. It wasn't a traditional game call. It was basically like one of those, if you recall, in the 90s, those and one basketball mixtapes where somebody would score a goal and you get some knucklehead on the mic yelling things. Well, yeah, that knucklehead was me. So it was a fun game. Got to see a lot of youth go out and do their thing, and it was exciting, and it was successful. And the entire event was successful. Got to interview and have Alexei Lalas on our show. I know your friend, Susanna Collins, was there along with Charlie Davies from the Golasso Network. So many cool people that were in and around Angel City people. I mean, I met so many awesome people that have played, coached, assisted media. Like, it was a great event, and next season is going to be in Chicago, so you get the opportunity. If you're a coach, want to develop your game and your repertoire, head on over to Chicago in January, but it's going to be fun. We'll be there.
Yeah, it was fantastic. We had such a good time. And speaking about the exhibition match, like you said, it was so packed, and there were so many people just asking questions and just curious about, what was going on. And we just loved the fact that people wanted to know more about it. And at the end of the day, that was really what it was kind of all about, is exposing people to a part of soccer that maybe all of those that are in the outdoor world just don't even know exists. We know that the moment that you expose people to this game, they are intrigued by it. And I think they had a lot of fun. We took every opportunity that we could to make sure that while on the mic, we talked about indoor soccer and we promoted it and made sure that people were aware that, this is where this is all originating from. And it was just a good time. And again, being in the presence of so many like-minded people. And when I say that, I mean people that love this beautiful game, whether it's in the form of futsal or indoor or outdoor or, collegiate or club or whatever level it's on. I mean, we got to watch the NWSL draft,
Yeah, you did.
which is something I've never seen, live and in person for any sport at all. And that was just super cool to see these college athletes that had declared for this draft get picked and get to see their dreams literally coming true right before them. So many amazing opportunities from this United Soccer Coaches Convention, and so blessed that we got to be a part of it. We got to promote our podcast as well with Striking Fury, and just a great time all around. And yeah, loved every moment of it. And I hope we get the opportunity to do it again, and love the exposure for our league from it as well.
Absolutely. Big shout out to Kevin Curtin in the chat right here, our former assistant coach, doing big things in Austin. We'll probably get Kevin on the show at some point to have him talk about his experience now as a head coach. But, I don't want to get too far in the weeds. Kevin, much love, my man. Hope all is well. And bearing that in mind, got to pay the bills again. So I'm going to seamlessly transition back to Omnitrends. What? Why are you giving me dirty looks? It's my turn to do it. Omnitrends is the proud sponsor of Striking Fury and your ride to the Strikers games and everywhere else you want to go in San Bernardino County. Omnitrends is now hiring bus operators, mechanics, and vehicle service workers. Earn great wages, get up to $1,000 sign-on bonus, and enjoy great benefits, including medical, dental, and tuition reimbursement. Working for Omnitrends is more than just a job. It's a career. Visit omnitrans.org/mycareer and apply today. I'm still wondering why you gave me a dirty look just a second ago, by the way.
Oh, we'll talk offline about that. But either way, big shout out to Omnitrans. And yeah, I mean, it sounds like a great opportunity if you need to get out in the workplace, if you need to add a couple more bucks to your bank account so that you can come out and support the Strikers. That would be amazing. So hop on that. And if that sounds like something you'd like to be a part of, encouraging that today, let us know how it works out for you. So anyways, let's move forward. We've talked for 22 minutes about all the things surrounding it, but we are all here really for these games. This is what we live and breathe for. We love, love, love game days, and we're fast approaching one right now. But let's talk a little bit about what has brought us to where we're at right now. And I think we should start off with a really bright spot in our season right now, and that was one of the 2 road wins that we have had so far, and that was back on Saturday, January 6th against the Dallas Sidekicks, where the Empire Strikers found their way all the way to an 11-4 victory out there in, did they play in Dallas?
Allen, Texas, my
That's
love.
what I thought. I knew it wasn't. That's why I thought I'd cue you up for that. But we did manage to secure that win. And that was the first game that Clay Roberts and Miguel Ponce were both a part of this squad, was it not?
Oh, I was waiting for the doctor to hop in, but he was down checking out his phone. You checking out scores? Can we get an update on that Monterey, Kansas City game since you were, looking at stuff?
You guys were just going for like 10 straight minutes, so I just
so then let's let Doctor do the recap.
Sorry, I mean, it was his, soccer coaches convention, and then it was his read, and let
the doctor do
there wasn't a whole lot. I mean, I didn't know where to. That's why I was throwing it to you on this. So.
Well, what I really think differentiates the Dallas game, obviously, from any other game, you're playing against an opponent that is at the bottom of the table. This is a game you absolutely have to go in and dominate wall to wall. And the Strikers did that. It was a job well done. They executed perfectly on the day. I mean, every single time that they started to crawl back into the game, the kicks got kicked back, and the Strikers were able to maintain a comfortable lead the whole game. It did not rely on line one taking a lion's share of the minutes. It was well rotated throughout the game. It was exactly how you want to execute. It was a perfect game to help get our feet under us. We outshot them throughout the course of the whole game. We outpossessed them. We looked the better team wall to wall, and that's the result we got. It was an impressive performance from the Strikers, but it comes with a huge asterisk as being against Dallas. And we know that, that team has struggled to field a really competitive roster this year. Yes, they have some phenomenal pieces to that team, but it's not a complete team. And the Strikers, frankly, took care of business as they should.
took care of business. I mean, they had their best offensive performance in a long time. The last time that Empire put 11 goals up on a team, you'd have to go to January of last season, a game in which they did put up 11 against the Florida Tropics and Clay Roberts. They only had another game where they had double digits last season, a game in which they put up 10 against San Diego. So we haven't seen very many games or by the Strikers where they've had such an offensive output. I mean, they outshot Dallas 31-17, which was impressive. Justin Stinson got himself on a roll, had himself a hattie. Marco Fabian continued to do impressive things. And where, winning on the road in any league, in any sport is always tough. Empire Strikers had a great day, averaging only 5 goals per game. They doubled up that line. So we thought coming back to Toyota Arena that they would be riding a high and finally find some swagger to their step. We know they're talented, but there's a lot of things that still need to happen before this team can go on a roll. But that was without a doubt not only our most impressive win of the season, which it was, but one of our most impressive wins within the last 2 seasons since we switched from the Ontario Fury name to the Empire Strikers.
To me, the win is more impressive. Last year's team getting a win with a team full of indoor players that have been playing in this league for years is very different than this young team coming together with a lot of outdoor, talent on it, able to execute and get a W and outshoot an opponent basically 2-1 on the night. I mean, that's a very, very impressive game for the Empire Strikers, given where we're at in our roster build. So many new pieces still coming in seemingly game by game. To execute on that level was a very big moment for this team, and I don't want people to overlook it just because of the opponent.
Yeah, I would argue that, this win was huge. If we would have lost against Dallas, that would have been pretty detrimental, I think, to our season. So that win was imminent, and we got it in a commanding fashion. We outshot them every single quarter of that game. Like you said, we ended up, I think it was 17 of their shots to our 31, which is exactly what we need to see more of from this striker squad. We need to be a lot more offensive. And, I think we have been getting that. I think the addition of Marco Fabian has definitely helped with our offense. And we did see in that game our first Chivas link up between him and Ponce. So, that was really exciting to see. And the unfortunate thing was, though, the air was going to get deflated a little bit out of our tires as we make our way back to Toyota Arena on Tuesday, January 9th. For our home game against the Texas Outlaws, where we really desperately needed to pull out a home win. And unfortunately, that was not going to happen as we see the Strikers fall to the Outlaws 10-5. However, I don't know. Sometimes these score lines don't always tell the whole picture. I don't know what your guys' thoughts were on the game, but I'd like to get into it. Would you like to start?
I think the first half was a very close game. I think one goal separated the two teams at the half. It looked fairly evenly matched. Strikers had an extra day of rest or so, and certainly didn't have to travel. However, this is not last year's Texas Outlaws team, right? We've talked about it ad nauseum on this show. I mean, the Mama's Boys, MOMs, right? Mendez, Ortiz. I mean, it is just Morales. My goodness, what those three have been able to do is just stunning. I mean, those three as a package have scored more than whole other teams in this league has. It's one of those rosters that, pick your poison. You put your effort into stopping one guy, you're going to get another guy on you. And, once again, it was a third quarter in which the Strikers made a few mistakes, gave up a few soft goals. The lead got padded a little bit with some garbage time goals as the Strikers were really putting numbers forward and pressing to try and get back into the game. So the scoreline looks a little more lopsided than the game was. But again, for a young Strikers team building and coming together to go toe-to-toe for 2.5 quarters with one of the best teams in the West was promising. It was disappointing to see that they couldn't finish it out and that late in the game, those mistakes ended up piling up and costing us eventually.
Yeah, not to say that Texas didn't come in well rested. They did have the day off. They were supposed to play in San Diego, but Pechanga Arena had a pipe issue that prevented the game from happening. And I think I just saw the communication that the game did get rescheduled. I don't have that information off the top of my head.
It's the 13th.
The 13th. All right. Well, either way, like they're going to go out and replay that game. But, we saw goals scored by our former players, and that of George De Leon and Uzi Tayu. Uzi Tayu, who's known for being one of the best shot blockers in this league, managed to put up his third goal of the season. Uzi hasn't scored that many goals in a season in quite some time, and he had something to prove. And when he came in and scored, many people were cheering because Uzi is obviously a very well-known member in our community as well, does a lot of things with the youth camp, so on and so forth. So in a way, I was happy to see him score, but obviously, it was at our detriment. But they kicked our butts handedly. We were there for 2 quarters and change, but at the end of the day, you said it. The Texas Outlaws are one of the best teams in the Western Conference, and they are first place. But
Eastern Conference, aren't they?
no, Texas Outlaws are in our conference. But they are in first place right now. But granted, they've also played 10 games. So,
I
they
think
are the best team in the West. Okay, sorry, I saw the top of that, and I was expecting to see somebody else up there, but yeah, I mean, right now after what we just saw with Kansas City, they are the best team in the Western Conference. So,
and this is the game where we got that sick Wallace score of Ponce to Fabian, which was really fun for Philly and I to get to call that live. I mean, that was a really cool Wallace Scora moment right there. Shouts to Wallace Scora. Then, after that tough loss, but stiff competition, and I think the game reflected the roster builds on both teams. We move on to the next home game, taking on the Taco Masters.
that's right. We're looking again to try and get that first home win that we desperately need. And we thought maybe the Tacoma Stars could be it. I mean, they were coming off of a very grueling turnaround that was going to be happening with them. They had just come off of a very, very, very close game and unfortunate loss to the San Diego Sockers less than 24 hours prior to making their way into Toyota Arena. However, we were informed that not every player played in that game, and there were some well-rested legs that did make their way into the arena for the Tacoma Stars, and they were definitely going to put them on display. And fortunately, the Strikers are going to fall 5-7 to the Tacoma Stars. But again, this might be a tired narrative. I don't know that the scoreline's always telling the whole picture. I mean, we were right in there. Aside from a few errors, aside from a few moments where we give up some goals, some unfortunate ones, sometimes some back-to-back goals, they were really in this game till those very last moments, I think.
They were, and going down 3-0 early in the first quarter would be enough to slap most people upside the face and go, might as well start warming up the bus or start thinking about what we're doing afterwards. But they did stick to the plan. They were aggressive. They had a really solid third quarter in which they outshot the Tacoma Stars 10-1. We've typically seen this team sort of fold within the third quarter. They had one of their best quarters yet, despite not having that many goals. Very much in it. We saw Justin Stinson continuing on with his scoring streak. He had a brace. Stefan Mijatovic concluded with another game with a goal. Marco Fabian continuing to do really good things. And yeah, we 7-5, another similar score to the Tacoma Stars. But for a team that we were well rested. The Tacoma Stars played, like you said, less than 24 hours. And again, thank you to Lane and his lovely wife, Lynn, and Jeff Burham. They were able to get all these players into Ontario. There were issues with Boeing's 737-9 MAX jets, whatever. They grounded them as a result of a recent incident where a panel blew off of a plane flying out of Oregon in 16,000 feet. So they flew into Orange County. They had to rent cars. It was a whole ordeal. There was 7 different online airplane reservations. So this game almost didn't happen because of this grounding of the fleet by Alaska and United. So we want to thank the powers that be for letting this game happen. But with that being the case, we should have probably ran them a little more ragged than we did. They played intelligently and, well, they executed when they had the opportunities to execute. Great team. And unfortunately, we suffer another loss at home.
Another game in which some careless mistakes cost us goals. But even with all that, with 60 seconds left in the game, Marco Fabian puts one just 2-3 inches wide that would have tied the game. And then Tacoma scored literally at the death to make it 7-5. And, the strikers look good with the sixth attacker. They got super close. It was almost an overtime game. But again, just the structural mistakes that led to us going down 3-0 early, getting caught in transition, by a team that was significantly under-rested by comparison. Yes, they had a few people who traveled, Toth being one of them. Toth had a heck of a game, made some phenomenal saves throughout the course of the night that kept it a lot closer. Frankly, Brandon Gomez did as well, too. His shot-stopping ability was on display in this game. I mean, he looked electric throughout the night. But again, just those couple mistakes here and there are what are costing strikers games versus teams like Tacoma right now. And it's frustrating because those are games you really need to win to stay alive in this conference. Still a lot of games left in the season, but we're going to have to start getting W's versus big teams in order to make up ground.
Yeah, like you said, I mean this team did come out in that second half a little different than what we've seen in this season, and they ended up shoot. I was trying to read my notes there, dear.
Sorry.
Wow. They did come out and they did outshoot Tacoma 27-22, but you're gonna have to do better than that when you've got someone like the likes of a Chris Toth in between the pipes. And unfortunately, we just could not pull it out. But I do love the heart and the tenacity and that never quit attitude that these boys are putting up there. I know they're feeling defeated. I know that they're feeling like they need to do more. And I know they really, really, really want to get us that first home win because people are showing up. And I know that these guys want to put on a show. And I think we're all hoping that, I mean, could this be the turnaround in the season? Like a huge home win against someone like the San Diego Sockers?
I mean, it would certainly change a lot of narratives, but the San Diego Sockers are a darn tough team to beat, even when we had the talent that we had the past couple of years. We're 32-9 against them historically. Now, obviously, that's going to give the Sockers a little bit of confidence and a swagger, and they're going to be coming in a little hungrier than normal, having just lost a game to the Chihuahua Savage. But, the rest of our schedule, it's not going to be easy. So there's going to be games in which we're going to have some growing pains ahead of us. And we play San Diego, another 5 times. We play Tacoma a couple more times. We got Monterey. We got Kansas City at home and on the road. We got Baltimore on the road. It's Chihuahua. It's not going to be very easy for us. There is no cakewalk in our schedule. One will argue that maybe St. Louis is that, but I don't think that's a cakewalk either because we didn't beat them convincingly on the road either. Every game ahead of us is going to be tough, and I'm confident we could pull out a couple of dubs, but San Diego is going to be really tough tomorrow, and they're going to be really tough all season long, as they always are.
I mean, look, it's the Empire Strikers versus the San Diego All-Stars. I mean, you have to tip your cap to roster construction and what they have been able to do down in San Diego. I mean, they are 3 All-Stars deep at every line. I mean, just, I mean, on defense, you add Ruggles to the likes of already having a Serta and a Pino and a Pee-wee and all these amazing people. I mean, you've got a midfield that's anchored by Charlie Gonzalez, who is phenomenal. We know Chargo. He is one of the best midfielders in the league. It's not like that they already had Aleo de Oliveira and all these other amazing talents. I mean, up top, you've got Craig Childs, and they go out and get Tavoy Morgan, who's one of the most electric and talented forwards in this league. The guy can score from anywhere. Right. It's a really good team, and it's really good 3 lines deep. And the San Diego Sockers, I mean, just based on the ludicrous amount of talent that they put together this year, the fact that they lost 1 game is astonishing. Although I do find it slightly humorous. They are crediting that loss to the players that put out too much effort in the futsal game. So I hope that cup they celebrated was worth it because it cost them an L, allegedly, which I find amusing. But look, every time San Diego comes into town to play us, they always bring it, with one notable exception last year that they're still wearing on their chin. And that's locker room whiteboard material for them coming in. I mean, this is going to be, I have a feeling San Diego is going to throw everything and the kitchen sink at us to make a point tomorrow. And it's going to take a defensive masterclass, really, from the Strikers in order to see this one through respectably.
I mean, I think they're going to have to play their best performance of the season. They're going to have to do what they did in Dallas and some, and they're not going to be able to make any mistakes. And with all that being said, I still think they're going to have a tough time, even if they played their best game. But you're going to get better by playing against better teams, and you're going to rise to the occasion against better competition. The thing about them is they just need to make sure that they play with confidence. There are kids on this team that are talented. They just have to believe that, and they can't let themselves, you know, fall into any kind of like negative thinking, because San Diego's probably going to come out aggressively. Like you said, they can beat you in so many different ways. I mean, Charlie Gonzalez, you mentioned him. He's off to his best start ever thus far since he signed with the Sockers a couple seasons ago. And he is the Fury's all-time leader in points and goals, so on and so forth. And, we haven't even talked about Gabriel Costa. Gabriel Costa, from the newcomer of the year, who was on our side last year. You got the likes of Boris Pardo, a league MVP candidate. I mean, every which way, shape, form you go, I mean, they can murder you in so many ways. But if our boys can hang in there, frustrate the veterans a little bit, there might be a bit of a chance. I want to see these kids come out aggressively, and they need to tidy up some of those mistakes, in particular in the back line.
I mean, look, you lock all those guys down. You still got to worry about, Mitchell Cardenas, Golden Gutierrez, it's so ridiculous. Like, you can just go on and on forever. I mean, the amount of talent that they've amassed is really, really impressive. Right. And to be honest, they play a very advanced and beautiful version of the indoor game, and it can be fun to watch at times. Just hopefully not tomorrow. But if we play a little smarter, minimize some of those mistakes, keep ourselves out of the box, quit wasting 2-5 minutes here and there on silly penalties and things like that. There's a chance. You never know.
Always a chance.
And I think the Strikers have a much bigger chance than most people across the league are giving them tomorrow.
Well, if there's one bright spot, looking at the stats that we have, is we have been pretty good on the penalty kill, which is not something that we can always say about our teams in the past. I mean, we are 0.750 when it comes to penalty kill. So we've actually done pretty well in the event that we find ourselves a man down, which says a lot about our defensive efforts. So kudos to them for that. So there's a lot of work to do. I mean, you look at the goal differentials between the two teams, and it's not really even worth mentioning right now. But
you're right. Yeah.
But we're working towards that. We're working towards that. Our last 3 games, in my opinion, have been significantly better as far as a complete game has been concerned with what we've done. I mean, I feel like we've put together a lot more of a complete game with how we've played. So aside from a few mental lapses here and there that have caught us, I mean, that third quarter, there were literally 2 minutes with the Texas Outlaws, I think, where they scored 3 goals. And I mean, that can unravel even the best of the teams and really get inside your head. So I have a lot of great things to say about this team, and I hope that if they're listening, that they know that we are 100% behind them, believe in them. Marco Fabian even said it in his interview with me. He's like, I believe in this team, and you've got somebody like that on your side. You've got to hope that everybody is feeling that. And yeah, you're right. I hope we see the best game that they have played so far this season tomorrow night at Pachanga.
Well, you can go down there.
I'm gonna go to Pachanga.
You're going to be by yourself.
It's not so flooded, right? I don't need a swimsuit.
You can enjoy Phil's barbecue for us.
That's what I was looking for. I'm in Toyota Arena. Oh, you know what I mean. 7:05 is kickoff Pacific time for that matchup. So hopefully everybody will tune into that. Any final thoughts on tomorrow night's matchup?
Doc?
Look, the Strikers are still down a few people as well, too. And this is something that has gone mostly unreported by other sources outside of us, right? But Claude Dielna, Garrett Bloom, Howard Miller Jr., Lucas Roque, and now the recent addition of Ponce to the combination of unavailable/injured list. I mean, that's a whole line right there. I mean, that's
Adam
a whole
James.
line. And Adam James as well, too. I mean, they're talking 6 key players that we expect to get minutes anytime they're fresh and available. So, the Strikers are also going into this game, down 6 players worth as well, too. And frankly, have been playing, without Roque since the second game of the season. Howard Miller Jr. got hurt early on in the season. Garrett Bloom got hurt right before the start of the season. Claude Dielna, who stepped in and was massive in 2 or 3 games, has picked up a knock the past few games as well, too. This just, it's starting to add up on the injury front as well, too, which is a little concerning given that guys are playing different minutes in different locations right now than we had planned even just a month or 2 ago. So there's a lot of patchwork that's being put together, and I think the performance has been really positive, and all of it's trending in a right direction with a lot of those underlying numbers and a lot of what just the eye test has shown us. And there's absolutely no reason these guys can't go out there and shock the rest of the world tomorrow. They wouldn't shock us because we know they're capable of it and getting a dub versus San Diego.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like we're not down on the team. We're down on the fact that we know that they can do more because they're talented, and we've seen flashes of brilliance from them. Obviously, we've seen the exact opposite in a lot of cases. They can figure out how to put an entire game plan together. Then they're going to stand a shot at winning some dubs. The best thing, or getting some dubs. The best thing is there is no pressure. There's no championship bound slogan. There's no nothing on us. Nobody expects us to do anything, but we're figuring it out in a lot of ways. And don't be surprised. We're going to come out there and shock people. I know people, when we signed Marco Fabian, made the comment that, oh, this guy's not going to adjust really well. Well, hogwash, horse bucky, 7 goals, 8 assists. He's got 15 points, averaging 2.5 points per game. Justin Stinsenstein is scoring boots. He's got 9 goals on the season, leading the team. So there are bright spots. They absolutely are, and it's just only a matter of time before things click on all cylinders. You mentioned Lucas Roque. We were asked about this in the chat. He's down in Florida, taking care of personal family matters. We don't have a timeline as to when Lucas Roque is going to come back. He's on the inactive list as of right now. And I'm going to tell you, don't expect to see Van Zell or Ferdinand. I don't see them coming through either. They're also on the inactive list. As to what their whereabouts or will they play for us, I wouldn't put my money on it. Let's just put it that way. What are you doing?
Sorry, this the lighting situation makes me look like a scarecrow, like with the nose thing. Like that's all I can
If
see.
you only had a brain.
I know, that's how I feel. I'm sorry. I can't move it because we don't have a stupid ring light. Anyways,
gotten away with one there,
sorry.
If she only had a brain.
You're gonna.
And then after he got away with it, he went back and doubled down just to make sure he would get in trouble.
Yeah, make sure I just heard that, because if I weren't already upset, here we go.
In the words of the great Muttley from the Great Adventures with Dick Dastardly, got away with that one.
Anyways,
Murgatroyd.
Heavens to Murgatroyd. Exit stage left.
Anyways, let's move on. We're almost done getting through this mammoth of a game recap. Game tomorrow night. If you're listening to this now, against the Sockers, hopefully tune in. I think it's going to be a great game. I can't wait to be there and see everybody. And what are you doing?
Monterey wins 8-7.
Something else.
Are you doing this little light of mine from church?
I have something to say. I'm
Is
raising my hand.
Is that how you raise your hand?
Shine.
Right?
This little light of
What do you need to say, Philly?
Download the Empire Strikers app. It's there. It's live. It's fun. You get to see a brilliant interview that Panda had with Ellen Nordberg. You're going to get to find out who Panda's favorite Empire Striker player is, about roller coasters and a bunch of other cool stuff. And we're going to throw and slap on a whole bunch of awesome content on this Empire Strikers app, including the podcast and so many different things. So whatever you download applications on, whether it be on your iPhone or your Samsung or your Hoozy, Medoozy, whatever, Badoozy, Floozy, download the Empire Strikers app. It's legit.
Amen.
All right. All right. So that kind of concludes the game recap and everything Empire Strikers. Is there anything that anyone would like to say in terms of the MASL as a whole? I mean, we just heard about a pretty epic matchup that just happened between the Comets and the what are they? The Flash, because they're in the Eastern Conference now. See, that's where I was confused earlier when I was talking about Western. I knew one of the teams that shouldn't be in the Eastern Conference was there, and it was all confusing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to address Edward Ham's question.
No. Monterey absolutely should be in the East. They're 2 time zones ahead of the West Coast. They're on their East. They are perfectly fine being in the East.
I'm perfectly fine not seeing them more than once. That's all I'm going to say. Edward Ham had a comment in there. Them being in the East is really disturbing. I'm happy I don't have to see them. We get to call one game for Monterey when they roll up here to Toyota Arena. But this is the last team that's undefeated in the league. And, well, they're putting up numbers, man. I mean, 93 goals. They got a plus 47 goal differential. This team is outstanding. Former players from the Chihuahua Savage on that team, obviously returning players from Monterrey. You got the likes of Walter Ayubi. I mean, they're a scary, sick team, and it'll be cool getting to watch them, but it'll also be scary to see them in Toyota Arena.
Yeah, I'm just happy that the East is getting a little bit of that Mexican medicine, I feel like everybody out West has been taking it for a long time, and the East has been getting away with getting to slide through with, playing the level of talent we typically see in the East more often than not. And the fact that they got to step up and play with the big boys amuses me. And yeah, Brad, I'm calling you out. Calling you Easties out.
Well, speaking of Brad, we should probably address what he had written in the chat. He's not wrong. Justin Stinson did get a call for the futsal national team training. So yeah, we might not actually have him tomorrow. That's a good point.
Yep, he's out.
All right. Victor Martinez said, I can't wait to be there tomorrow. If you see us, make sure you stop us, whether it be myself, the doctor, or Panda. I would love to say hi and shake some hands and kiss some babies and take some photos.
Absolutely.
Doctor wants to buy drinks too.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. If you find me, good. Yeah, find me.
All right. Well, if you have some drinks, don't drive. Try to take some nice little public transportation if you could. Right, Reimer?
Oh, that reminds me, folks, we'd like to give a shout out to our friends at Omnitrans because, of course, Omnitrans is the proud sponsor of Striking Fury and your ride to the Strikers games and everywhere else you want to go in San Bernardino County. Omnitrans is now hiring bus operators, mechanics, and vehicle service workers. Earn great wages, get up to $1,000 sign-on bonus, and enjoy great benefits, including medical, dental, and tuition reimbursement. Working for Omnitrans is more than a job. It's a career. Visit omnitrans.org/mycareer and apply today.
And that was Jonathan Reimer with the Jazz Hour. And next up, Charlie Parker and his greatest hits.
Jesus, guys. Wow.
It's the mood lighting, it sets the tone. What can I say?
Yeah, we left half our gear in some other car on some other part of LA. We won't have this weird ass mood lighting going forward. I apologize for that. We're operating on the lighting off of 2 iPhones and this dim lighting that I have in these 20-foot ceilings, which those lights ever go out, we're kind of screwed. One last shout out. Victor Martinez states in the chat, I'm starting to love this league more and more since that women's USA versus Mexico game. Panda, you hid the rest of the comment. This league is only going up and up. And we totally agree. We're happy that you were at that game. That was a phenomenal game. That was so much offense, so much fun. And we love this game too.
We have the scarf right behind us from that matchup. Certainly exciting. And yeah, we love that we're exposing more and more people to this game. That is what it's all about. So again, thank you so much to everybody who was in on the chat. And if anybody is listening or watching out there, thank you for being supporters of Striking Fury, whether or not you're a Strikers fan. We love that you're a fan of this podcast. And I have only one way that we should sign off, right?
Yeah.
Strike hard.
Strike fast.
No mercy.
I think we change that every time.
Yeah, we change it every time.
I forget. I thought I started it. I thought I was supposed to do strike hard, and then you would say defend the empire, and then Philly would say no mercy. Isn't that?
Hey, I'm the only one that got it right. Finally.
Nobody knows. Cats and dogs,
living together,
mass hysteria. That's all I know. There's only one way to get rid of all this. You know how we like to do it.